How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another podcast where we're going to be talking about a few things that's occurred this week, which should be interesting. So, all right, first I'm going to share the links. How's it going, Kelly? Persian 007, how's it going? All right. There we go. Sent the link to Twitter, as well as resending the link for the podcast to Discord. So I'm hoping we can get everybody here so that way we can do a group discussion of this or a few things that have happened. First off, I wanted, I guess, just going down the list of topics that I had on the docket for this podcast. It's the Onision doc that is supposedly coming around January. Then we got at least myself talking about the Mandalorian season finale, which was season 2, episode 16. I guess it was, what would that be? Like episode 8, actually, for that season. And then some of the stuff that's been going on with Cyberpunk. So, yeah, we're going to have a few things to talk about. I'm sure like other stuff will probably pop up down the line for the podcast. But anywho, how's everybody doing this evening? If you guys are lucky, you'll probably hear my dogs friggin' playing around in the background. Let's see. So far we got 7 people watching, as well as 4 likes, 0 dislikes. Really awesome. Looking at Discord. So I guess, well, while I wait, I might as well talk about just some of the things briefly. Kelly, how's your day been going? My day's been good. Tried, playing Cyberpunk, but I think everybody knows how that's been going. Oh, good Lord. And also recording some other content for the channel for the next probably couple of days, because I've been doing the Let's Plays and the reactions. But talking about, just to give a quick like introduction to like the Onision doc. So honestly, when it comes down to it, and I'm hoping we can get everybody for tonight, because this one I didn't want to discuss any further because it's the whole Chris Hansen thing. But recently, and I have to thank Magi for bringing it to my attention, that apparently Repsion brought, or at least was discussing, the possibilities for the documentary. And I guess one of the things that popped up that actually was a interesting fact when it comes to the Onision doc was the fact that his father may actually give his point of view in this situation, or at least what's been going on with Greg and his thoughts on the whole situation, which I think, bottom line, it's been one of my things that I've been wanting to hear from is, some of the other stories, one in particular being his father and his thoughts about his own son. A warming listening to you while I wrap Christmas presents. Oh, how nice. But I'm trying to think if there was any other drama or anything that we've had to deal with. or come across. And then talking about giving a quick summary of Cyberpunk, we have Cyberpunk and some of the drama that's been having to deal with. One in particular that apparently Sony is now I'm learning about the Christmas truce in World War I. Oh yeah, that's actually a cool thing. Though I always confuse it whether it was World War I or World War II, where you have, I think it was like either it was the British or American soldiers. They were during Christmas in a standstill with I think the German forces, and for Christmas they stopped fighting for that just small moment of time to kind of put aside their differences, which I honestly think is one of the coolest moments of history. I mean, it just goes to show that there is some decency in humanity for the most part. And then but anyways, when it comes to, and I'm not saying all people are bad, I'm just saying like when it comes to recent years where we've been at each other's throats, it's nice that we've like in history have like this great moment where people kind of just in the middle of war put aside our differences to be kind to one another. But anywho, it was British, French, and German. Okay, so I was somewhat right because I said it British and American. So, but yeah, so Cyberpunk. For those who don't know, that game was apparently now giving refunds due to how glitchy it is. PlayStation or the Sony is no longer selling the digital version of the game. Apparently, some people have shown comparisons to how it plays with PC as well as the consoles. And apparently now there is a game-breaking glitch for Cyberpunk where, depending on the size of the save file, one or many of your save files become corrupted, which is utterly ridiculous. And the last thing is I may gush about Mandalorian, which that should be fun. Should be really, really fun. All right. So looking at the time, we're almost 9 minutes in? Oh, wow, 9 minutes in. I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. For those who, like, if you guys have any questions or have any comments, leave it in the chat. Well, that's stupid. Are you talking about the Cyberpunk thing with the save file? Yeah, that is pretty stupid. In fact, by the way, I'm going to make an announcement in one of my last Cyberpunk videos, but recently to give some joy to my niece and nephew whose family isn't, I guess to some extent, isn't able to enjoy an Xbox. I donated my Xbox to family, so there won't be any of the Cyberpunk videos. In fact, I might just wait till that game gets a little bit more put together. So, oh hey, vegan, I just saw your chat. So the next upcoming video for Cyberpunk, or at least one of the last ones that I've pre-recorded, I will have a message at the very beginning stating that there won't be any more Cyberpunk videos for that console. If anything, the next one, if I do one, is for the newer consoles. And I'm going to say right off the bat, that's a game I do want. I do want to see the final product of. I do want to see that game through because there is potential to it. There's a lot of story and everything to that game. So what does that say? Coming on the podcast is to a coin toss for me at the moment, as I need to. All right, vegan. But anywho, so yeah, so down the line, because I think I had 1 or 2 more videos of Cyberpunk left that I had pre-recorded. That video will basically be the last one for a while, at least until I get one of the newer consoles. I will say that will give me time to focus on games that I really want to play or finish, like Hyrule Warriors. So I'm really excited to play that game, or at least finish that game anyway. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this because we're already 12 minutes in. All right. So just going into this, oh my gosh. So like I said, I didn't, when it comes to the Chris Hansen thing, especially with all the drama and the documentary stuff with how everything went, I didn't want to discuss this at all, especially with the possibility of like some people apparently it was said that some people weren't giving their authorization for interviews or having what they've said to be put on the documentary, or if they were involved, then they would be mentioned anyways. There was a lot of drama, especially with the whole Chris Hansen thing, and how he went about this whole situation with Greg. But recently, as I mentioned, Magi posted or at least shared with me a video with Repsion. I don't know if I can call it promoting it, but kind of sharing some enthusiasm for the documentary, especially with the fact that, once again, people like Greg's father may be involved in the project. Now, for those who don't know about that particular drama, which it's interesting because like maybe every other video, ever so often, if things are slow, he talks about how piss poor his father, quote unquote, treated him, especially with making the allegations of his father possibly being to use the British word, a nunce, and spewed allegations against his father, though with how he put it, the allegation itself seemed very shaky. And I myself have always wanted to hear the second side of the story, because if we're only hearing his side, then there's a possibility that there's some mistruths to what he has to say, which knowing Greg is a high chance of probability that was the case. So I'm going to say, when it comes down to it, I'm curious to the particular podcast that we are about to be graced with. Jared Fogle. Who's Jared Fogle? Who's Jared Fogle, vegan? Is the term I believe you wanted to say. Oh, is that the term? The same term I kind of like the same term I used for what Greg was calling his father. But and something else too is that apparently he's a guy that was arrested for. Oh, hold on. Wait, Jared, aren't you talking about the subway guy? Hold on. Yeah, you are talking about the subway guy. Forget. So I guess that is another term. You can call it he was a Jared Fogle. Okay. I see what you did there. But another thing too is apparently some more details when it comes to the situation with Shiloh might be coming up, as well as some other things. So like I said, I'm curious. I will. I think just to catch myself, I'm not too optimistic because there may be a chance that this could backfire. Because if anything, that may just be giving Greg what he wants, but at the same time, there's only so much negative publicity that he can get or try to feed off of, to the point where it will start to hurt him in the long run. Yeah, vegan. I with the Jared Fogle, the guy that they used for South Park, the South Park game. Oh gosh, that's freaking horrible that they used that guy for that. In fact, by the way, so while we're talking about the whole Repsion thing, hold on. I'm gonna look for that video that he posted while we're doing this podcast. Hold on. So I'm looking for it right now. Which I honestly should have, like, now thinking about it, I should have had this thing up. Don't know why I didn't. Not looking for it. Okay, so I found it. Hold on. Let me okay. Share screen. Application. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, stop screen. Because I just realized I also need to get the audio. So let me know if you guys can hear it. But this is the video itself that he shared. So, in fact, just in case. For some reason, it's not loading, or it's not playing. That's odd. Hold on. Let me try this again. This is really freaking weird. sometimes hate doing this. Okay, I think I got it now. All right, so you guys can kind of see the bottom, and it's still stupid thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think I got it now. All right, so you guys can kind of see the bottom, and it's still stupid thing. All right, so here's the video itself. Might be the internet, as streaming takes a lot. Yeah. All right, so here's the video. So play it.
Hold on to your butts. January is going to be a wild ride. I just watched episode 1 of 3 of the Onision documentary. Thank you for Discovery for giving me early access
to watch
it so I can have my initial impressions
and thoughts. I think I got it now.
I can't go into super duper detail.
All right, so here's kind of see the bottom, and it's still stupid thing. By the way, can you guys... All right, so here's the video itself. Might be the internet, as stream. By the way, can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear the video itself? By the way, hello, Draco Inferno. Okay, so I'm going to make sure the audio is up. Kind of go back a little bit. All right, there we go.
Hold on to your butts. January is going to be a wild ride. I just watched episode 1 of 3 of the Onision documentary. Thank you for Discovery for giving me early access to watch it so I can have my initial impressions and thoughts. I can't go into super duper detail, but I am going to say that episode 1, if episode 2 and 3 follows episode 1's footsteps, we are in good hands. Not exaggerating. I know I've spoken negatively about what I think this is going to be, how it's going to be represented, but episode 1 was solid, 10 out of 10, really well done. I learned things I didn't know about Shiloh. I learned things about his family. There's stuff that I didn't know. I've seen things I didn't know about in regards to Onision. I think the most interesting part of this documentary is that we get to see his father's side of things. And I believe his father's in the flesh. His father's speaking. His father finally has a voice, because for years, all we've heard about from Onision is that his father is this evil person. But I'm thoroughly convinced through this documentary and hearing his father's side and his argument for why it's just simply not true what Onision is saying, is that Onision creates his own fantasies, his own delusions about narratives, about people who he thinks are just wrong. And he runs with it, and he goes to the internet. Look at every relationship he's ever been in, the way that he paints people who don't work out, things don't go the way that he wants. He demonizes every single person ever in his life, his family, his relationships, his girlfriends, his exes. It's all there, right? And we're going to see that even more so in this documentary if episode 2 and 3 follows the steps of episode 1. I believe his father. I understand why. I can see why Onision's afraid. I can see why Onision's spurging out and getting freaky and raging. He's about to, in January. I truly believe Onision's going to rage harder than we've ever seen him rage before, because his father has a voice, and when somebody has a voice that's been involved with Onision, he can't deal with that. He can't. So hold on to your butts. January is going to be crazy.
So that actually brings up something really funny. I guess around the same time that I came across this video from, again, thanks to Magi, this video from Repsion, Greg released another video trying to kind of give his case on why he is, the innocent one in all this drama or whatever, which is usually the case, or at least the usual role of behaviors from Greg, where you have people who've been who've interacted with him speak out, and then he proceeds to try to double it down and claim that he's the one or the innocent party in the situation. Even taking clips out of context, which the clip he uses in that video was like the first clip itself. And I didn't react to it because we were going to do this anyways. Where the first clip itself was a clip from a video that he himself deleted to try to defame Shiloh to make her seem crazy about her freaking out about threatening to, or at least telling him that she was going to more likely end up, perishing because of his actions. And I will say that there was a declaration in that video. There was a declaration of her, speaking out, claiming that she was going to, quote unquote, destroy Greg and his reputation. How's it going, Rosa? You're fine. I watched Novakast for months now on Onision. I can't not. Okay. Money for the streaming service to watch this damn doc. How much? Oh, wait. So, yeah, I'm actually kind of curious. How much is the doc? Are we going to have to pay for it? Because if anything, I'll probably wait to see if there's a free version on YouTube. Or if anything, hear the responses. Which I'm going to look it up. May take me a second, but I'm going to look up the Onision doc. Which I couldn't find anything the last time I looked for it. Oh, documentary Discovery Plus. Okay. I think if anything, I'm more likely I'm just going to because I think it comes out on the 4th. See if they do like a free subscription for 30 days and then go from there. Probably just like cancel my subscription at the 30-day mark. Yes, $6.99 without ads. So wait, you can watch it with ads? Because if anything, I'd be willing to watch it with the ads. Discovery Plus and the Onision documentary. Okay, the Onision story, Will Investigation Discovery. Okay. Onision Speaks. I'm just going down the list for all of the stuff. But Venicus, hello, how's it going? As my phone goes off. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the but for $4.99. So hold on. So in order to watch it with ads, we have to pay $4.99, and then the without ads $6.99. If so, that's kind of stupid. Like I said, if anything, I'll probably just listen to some of the reactions to the documentary, which that should, in of itself, especially with the people who have discussed this behavior from Greg, will probably give a very, hopefully, honest opinion on the documentary. All right. So I'm going to look at the chat to see if there's any thoughts or feelings about the doc besides the money that you would probably have to pay to watch this stupid thing. And with that, I'll probably move on to the next topic in just a second. That's cable for you. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, but wait, so that you wouldn't even, I guess, cable TV, because at this point, a lot of people are just going to be using the internet to watch it, if anything. Or if anything, copy the documentary and then posted on YouTube, which I have a feeling there's going to be a few people that are going to do that, which that should be interesting to see. All right. I think I'm going to move on to the next thing. I know it says the Mandalorian being the second topic, but I think I'm going to move on to the Cyberpunk thing, which I thought I saw a documentary, or not a documentary, but a freaking article for Cyberpunk. Because honestly, I'm at odds with the whole state of the freaking Cyberpunk. I mean, honestly, it's just a really sad sight on how broken that freaking game is to some extent, especially with there's a few things that are good with that game. Like I tried playing it. I think, how many hours am I in so far? I want to say 9 or 10. I was within 9 or 10 hours of the game, and I found quite a few things that I really enjoyed and that I really liked. Heck, at one point when the game was running, or when I was playing the game, I literally stopped, like, because I was driving to a mission, which, ironically, at least this is just me in my case, driving using a car is so slow and clunky. However, using a motorcycle is actually way better. Don't know how that works, but apparently it does. So when riding a motorcycle, I was playing the game and it was raining, and the way the rain moves, especially when you're moving forward, looked really, really cool. At least to me anyway. I got on video, I got a Portal reference, which I thought was really cool. There was a couple missions that I really enjoyed. The interaction with Keanu Reeves' character, to some extent, was entertaining. Had to step away. What happened? Talking about Cyberpunk. Also, hey, Sage. But yeah, it's very slow. It's very clunky. I was excited for that game until I heard about it being taken off the shelves. I still have my copy. I still have my Xbox copy, which I may wait. Like I said, at this point, because I gave my Xbox to a family member, I'm putting off the game. So, in fact, I'm gonna look at use a screen share again, so I can show you guys this. This thing. Okay, there we go. So just to show you guys the article, at least one of the articles I found, which, let's see, hold on. Try this again. Application window, Chrome tab. Okay, that's what I should have done. So Chrome tab. It was, okay, there we go. All right, so just to show you guys. So if your Cyberpunk 2077 file or save file becomes too big, it might get corrupted. And this is from The Verge, by the way. Players are reporting save files larger than 8 megabytes become corrupted. I can barely go anywhere on the internet without seeing yet another wild, hilarious, and downright odd bug from Cyberpunk 2077. It's a buggy game, and developer CD Projekt Red has already released 2 hot fixes to try and shore up some of the problems. One issue that started to pop up, though, isn't funny at all. Some players are reporting that their Cyberpunk 2077 save files are becoming corrupted if they exceed a certain file size via Eurogamer. If your Cyberpunk 2077 file or save is corrupted, you'll apparently see this prompt when you try and load up the game. Save data is damaged and cannot be loaded. Here's what it looks like. And they show you a screenshot of what the prompt looks like. While it's not clear what might be causing save files to be corrupted, it seems it can happen when the save file reaches 8 megabytes in size. Crossing that 8 megabyte threshold is when the save file corrupted, for one Redditor in their testing. There are also multiple people in CD Projekt Red's forums reporting that their 8 megabyte save files are corrupted. In a COG.com support doc about the corrupted save files prompt, CD Projekt Red says that unfortunately the save is damaged and can't be recovered. To avoid seeing the prompt, the company recommends using an older save to keep a lower amount of items and crafting materials. Theoretically, if your Cyberpunk save file is larger than 8 megabytes, you've invested a dozen of hours into the game and collected a lot of items. If I had a corrupted save in part because I picked up too much stuff in the game that's littered with stuff to pick up, I know I'd be extremely disappointed. CD Projekt Red says in the save file size limit might be increased in one of the future patches, but even if that increase happens, the save files that are currently corrupted will remain so. The document says if you are experiencing corrupted files, a moderator on CD Projekt Red's official Cyberpunk 2077 forums has offered some suggestions on how to load backup saves that you can try. The studio has promised to release 2 large patches for Cyberpunk 2077 next year, one in January and one in February. Perhaps the company will make changes in those patches to help prevent files from becoming corrupted. CD Projekt Red didn't immediately reply to a request for comment from The Verge. Now, although I wouldn't want to use, websites like The Verge to give an example, or can I illustrate what's going on, or at least one of the things, because they're not one of the best when it comes to gaming news, but a lot of other people have been talking about it as well. And I gotta say, it's very concerning, especially with the fact that we have the game like The Witcher, where it's a game where it is an RPG where you are, as in an RPG, you would be collecting a lot of items for crafting, for brewing potions, for selling, and a lot of other things. Not to mention, weapons that you would more likely collect. I myself did that a lot for The Witcher. And to see something like this for Cyberpunk is very concerning. Like I said, when it comes down to it, I want to give this game a shot, but at the same time, it seems like it's impossible when you have stuff like that is happening within the game. Draker wrote, this reminds me of the time when the ET game for the Atari 2600, they both have massive bugs and glitches. Yeah. Oh boy. I've already caused a lot of havoc on Cyberpunk. Yes, it's bad when it comes to the glitches. Hey, Mel. But yeah, so for now, and especially with the game, as bad as the glitches are, it's a game that I do think, if once fixed, has great potential. but at the same time is to some extent not in its best performance. You guys will probably see with a few videos where I've tried to I try to play it myself. When it comes to driving, it's clunky due to frame rate, as well as some of the situations with the controls. I sometimes end up overshooting some of the turns that I make when it comes to, and there are times where I'm freaking going slow, and somehow I still screw up. But and again, surprisingly, driving with a car is terrible, but driving with a motorcycle is a lot better. Some of the combat itself and the way you're able to customize your character. I mean, not just the appearance, but the way you customize your character's abilities is a really creative system. As well as some of the dialogue and the way you set up your character with your, I guess, storyline, where it's like Street Kid, Badlands, or the Corpo, which I honestly think is really cool, especially with them having different dialogue options. So down the line, I'm planning on either repurchasing it or waiting till the Xbox. I can finally get an Xbox One X or PlayStation 5 to play it, and wait till all the other glitches are dealt with. And for the time being, I will probably just focus on games for my Switch and the PS4. In fact, before I doubt I'm going to get the PlayStation 5 anytime soon. So I may replay or at least try to record games like Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, and various others for the channel. So that should be fun. And since I don't think I have anything else to say about the Cyberpunk, let's see if there's anything I missed for the chat. I don't think I missed anything. Actually, since we were still talking about it, there is something I need to bring up, is the fact that at this point, I think I mentioned already, people who were dissatisfied with the game, they are receiving refunds. So if you got the game and you want a refund, I think they are doing their best to do that for you. And at this time, PlayStation Sony is no longer releasing it for digital. I don't know if you could still buy physical copy like from GameStop or any other store, but at this time the digital version is no longer available for PlayStation. I'm playing Minecraft on a friend's server and I found gold ore once. Oh, cool. But anywho, so now that I've kind of talked about some friggin' crappy news, I don't know. When it comes to Onision and friggin' and Gray and the Cyberpunk thing, I don't know which is worse. Talking about Greg or talking about how a game that I was actually looking forward to friggin' being complete and utter garbage when it comes to bugs. I think I'm gonna let's move on to the last bit of topic, or at least discussion, and that is the Mandalorian. And this will probably be the last thing that I'm probably going to discuss for the channel. I've been going 45 minutes by myself, and actually that's crazy. So Mandalorian, and by the way, guys, I think I'm going to start off with no spoilers with this, because I think when it comes to a lot of the reviews, Onision is worse. Yeah. I think when it comes to reviews and stuff, I have been kind of putting them on the channel to talk about. This one, on the other hand, I might go back to doing them as videos, but for this was interesting. So for those who have not seen Cyberpunk, or not Cyberpunk, fuck. For those who have not seen Mandalorian, I ask you to please do, because this episode was interesting, especially with them setting up, I guess it was announced too, a third season for Mandalorian. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat, episode 16 of The Mandalorian is amazing. It is such a good episode. And this one's actually 45 minutes long. Usually it's like 28 minutes, usually. And this one was 45. So I'm going to say, especially with from beginning to end, it's just an amazing ride. I really, really freaking enjoyed this episode, especially with them setting up everything. Though I will say there was some odd stuff that happens that doesn't make any sense, especially with the canon that they've kind of put together, mixing in the Clone Wars series. But anywho, so I think if anything, since I've kind of gushed about it, saying how good it is, just to give you guys heads up, spoilers. The episodes starts off with kind of like how season 1, I think it was season 1, started off for like the final fight, or they gathered their allies. We got the drop trooper lady, we got Mando and Boba. They were able to find 2 of the other Mandalorians, Bo-Katan and her subordinate. Actually, at one point, we get a brief moment where she's kind of shitting on him, bringing up the fact that he's a clone and that he is not quote-unquote Mandalorian. And they get into a little fist fight, which I thought was really funny. And which, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself, because the first scene of the episode is Slave 1 chasing down the scientist that we've seen a couple of times in the series, who I guess was taking the blood for Grogu to give to Moff Gideon. And they're able to capture him, and we get a really cool moment with the drop trooper lady and this Imperial. At least 2 Imperials, because one Imperial, after they board the ship, is like, I'm not with this guy. The other guy, who is holding the scientist hostage, shoots the traitor and then starts making a remark about how he knows that the drop trooper was part of or at least was from the planet that the Death Star destroyed in A New Hope. For some reason, I cannot remember the stupid planet's name. And they kind of go back and forth about who killed how many, or who killed more people, the Empire or the New Republic. And it ends with that Imperial being killed by, I'm assuming Boba. Either Boba or was the drop trooper. I don't know. But after that, we get the scene with Bo-Katan, and they make a deal or at least Bo-Katan makes an arrangement to help Mando, but in exchange to get the Darksaber, because that's what she wants the entire time. That's what she's wanted, is the Darksaber from Moff Gideon, and that's how they convince her to take part in this whole adventure. So after that, they start planning a way to board Moff Gideon's ship, even going into detail about the possible the bigger threat on the ship, not just the stormtroopers, but the dark troopers, which are not. Which I like how they set this up, where the dark troopers, they're droids. They are, and the scientist brings up the fact that the living aspect of the stormtroopers was their final flaw. So they took all consciousness, all freaking train of thought out of the equation, or free will, and made just soulless killing machines for the dark troopers, which I gotta say is really cool. A really cool setup for what the storm dark troopers are. And I gotta say, some of the CGI used for them too is really, really good. Half the time I'm like thinking, is that a real robot? But again, it's CGI, so it's supposed to look good. And I have to again point out the fact that when it comes to CGI, especially for this show, it looks so good. Especially with the space fights. Like, I always go back to thinking, wait, am I watching a movie? No, it's a freaking TV show. How cool is that? So they get this plan together where, with the acquired Imperial ship that they've commandeered, they plan to pretend to be attacked by Boba, in hopes that the Imperials will, take the bait and allow the, I guess in a sense, the Trojan horse Imperial ship dock, and they can, just start rampaging through the ship. Which, to some extent, like at first, it seems like it's going to work, but then Moff Gideon, I guess, wises up, realizes that it might be a trap, and proceeds to release TIE fighters. And in a sense, they are eventually given no choice to just crash the ship into the docking bay, and then proceed to freaking go towards the bridge. And when they get on the ship, they actually have two groups, where you have the drop trooper, the two Mandalorians in one group, and in the other, we have Mando looking for Grogu. And I forgot to mention, they also have the sharpshooter, I think Fennec, I think that was her name. Fennec also part of that group, where it's Fennec, the drop trooper, and the two members of the Mandalore. So they are driven to the bridge. Mando is going to the prison bay. Group A, which comprises of the four, reach the bridge. Moff Gideon isn't there. Mando ends up getting close to the prison bay when he is attacked by one of the dark troopers. And I gotta say, the freaking how brutal these things are is just incredible. Especially at one point when I think they have no clue what Beskar is, because one of them proceeds to beat down Mando and grabs him by the neck, and then proceeds to punch him into the side of the ship. And apparently, due to thankfully because of his helmet, he's just being kind of smushed into the metal. It's not doing any harm to him, and it's not doing any harm to his armor. So you're watching as he's becoming an indent into the ship, or the interior of the ship. It was really cool. Eventually, he's able to take that one out with the Beskar spear that he received in one of the earlier episodes. And then, thankfully, with some quick thinking, is able to eject the last few, or like actually not like probably like several dozen dark troopers into outer space. Now, one thing they mentioned, like right off the bat, especially with these things, especially with them being droids, is apparently they take a while to load, or at least power up. So not only do they move really slow, but they are to some extent, when they're not being used, a kind of hindrance, I guess, because they take a lot of power to activate. So after briefly defeating the Dark Troopers, I say briefly because you could probably guess, because it made no sense that those things were just going to be pop up once and then, just so easily being taken out. Mando is able to reach the prison bay when he is then greeted with Moff Gideon. And Moff Gideon, for this first part of like the conversation, is, I guess, really acknowledgeable about some of his abilities or what some of his own weapons, and pretty much, in a sense, after talking, is able to lower Mando's guard. With Mando like kind of offering him a chance to get away, like kind of giving him a chance to, live. And at first, Mando thinks he's taking it, but Moff Gideon then proceeds to try to use the Darksaber, which that ultimately fails because Mando is covered in Beskar, and apparently the Darksaber can't affect Beskar, like kind of like how the lightsabers from Ahsoka in an earlier episode couldn't affect the Beskar. And eventually, Mando is able to apprehend Moff Gideon. And after this whole confrontation, they reach the bridge, and in some surprise to Bo-Katan, she sees that Mando has defeated Moff Gideon. And strangely enough, they pull this whole thing where apparently the Darksaber cannot be given, but won in combat. Now, and I will say that this is a weird detail because it's shown in the Clone Wars series, which I have a feeling that they forgot about this detail, that another character, either it was Clone Wars or Rebels, a character by the name of Sabine, I believe that was her name, or their name, gave Bo-Katan the Darksaber. But for some reason, in this case, she can't accept it. And I will say that my only excuse, or at least theory, is the fact that in her eyes, he's not considered a true Mandalore. I don't know, but it was just weird. So it seems like we're going to have that confrontation, but it doesn't happen because, lo and behold, the Dark Troopers that everybody thought was ejected into space returns to the ship, which I thought was pretty cool. And I will say again, because I thought there's no way that these things, with how powerful these things are, there's no way that they would just eject those into space and then immediately be done with it. Sure enough, I was right. And what ends up happening next is the Dark Troopers slowly start to push forward to the bridge. We get a moment as they're being distracted by the Dark Troopers showing up. Moff Gideon then proceeds to, I guess, use a blaster that he had hidden to attack Bo-Katan, and gets knocked out by, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Drop Trooper. Actually, no, because I'm missing a detail, because apparently, and I will say that when I saw this, I was in utter shock. Because as the Dark Troopers are slowly coming towards the bridge, they see on the screens that there is a lone TIE fighter, or not TIE fighter, a X-Wing that pops up. And for those who could probably guess, who are Star Wars fans, know who that might belong to. So, in between the Dark Troopers slowly moving towards the bridge, we see a cloaked figure with a green lightsaber proceed to go through the go through the ship and proceed to cut down every single Dark Trooper. And this is the moment where I guess Moff Gideon sees on screen who it might be, and I guess kind of thinks, oh, this might be it for me, and then proceeds to use the hidden blaster to shoot Bo-Katan and try to kill Grogu. After the Dark Troopers are destroyed, they open the blast doors to reveal that it was Luke Skywalker, or at least the person that was the cloaked figure. And I guess it is Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's in this, which I saw when I saw the credits of like, really? But they used a deep fake or like a, like the face app, or I don't know, like the face filter, where it's kind of de-aging him. I will say to some extent it looked really good, but at the same time, it's I think you can tell a little bit. It's good, but not great to some extent. There were a couple times where I'm thinking, is that just an actor that almost looks like Mark Hamill? But sure enough, no, that wasn't the case. So, we get after this reveal, we get the touching freaking kind of what's the best word for it? I guess last moments between Grogu and Mando, with Mando taking off his helmet in front of everybody for the first time. And I will say that this was a great moment, as my dogs are barking. And we have I would say like the best moment of this. The best moment of this entire episode had to be that. Well, that and the end credit scene, where you have this like just very touching moment between Mando and Grogu. Though there's a couple things I want to say about this, because first off, whenever I watch this show, or at least the 2 seasons, I always got the feeling of this being kind of similar. I don't know if anybody who's worked on this has ever read this story, or at least seen if a Mandalorian is inspired by the story itself. But I always got this feeling of Mandalorian being inspired by the story Lone Wolf and Cub. Now, for those who don't know what Lone Wolf and Cub is, it is a manga, or Japanese comic, created by writer Kozu Kyoke and the artist Goseki Kojima. And the basic premise of this is you have a samurai who is dishonored, who becomes a Ronin, and totes his child around while he goes and tries to garner his revenge against the people that wronged him. And it's a very, very cool story. And I will say that to some extent, I saw some similarities to that story and this one between the Mandalorian and Grogu. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, or it's like trying to be a copycat, but it has some similarities to it. Now, I will say there is, especially with this ending, there's one thing that bugs me, because Mandalorian, or Mando, basically promises that they'll see each other again. Knowing what happens in The Last Jedi, yeah, that's not going to happen. Especially for those who have seen Last Jedi, you guys know exactly what happened. So, yeah. As much as touching as this is, I will say that gave me, kind of put a bittersweet taste in my mouth with knowing, the movies and seeing this ending. But that still didn't, kind of change my perspective of how good this show was. Now, after that touching kind of departure between the two characters, we get one last bit with Boba Fett. And I will say this is probably one of the cool things. Fun fact I learned about the Darksaber is that it was created by a Mandalorian who also a Jedi, and he created the Darksaber, and through time it became a symbol of ruling Mandalore. Yes, I believe that was the whole thing with the Darksaber. Was they mentioned that a couple times, is the fact that was used as a sort of symbol for their leadership. And unfortunately, it couldn't be won, or it couldn't be just given. It had to be won by the opposing faction. Which kind of makes, I will say, to some extent, it kind of made sense for like when Darth Maul took over, because he won in combat. But at the same time, when it came to, because it messes with the lore a little bit when you have Sabine giving that character Bo-Katan the Darksaber in an earlier series, but now all of a sudden she couldn't accept it when the Mando, who didn't want any confrontation, was trying to give it to her. So it was odd. So anyways, the end credit scene. And again, I have to point out spoilers. If I haven't, because I mentioned it already, this has been heavy spoilers. In fact, I'll put that in the title too. Heavy spoilers for the episode. We get a moment where it is at Jabba's palace, and apparently the secretary, or the tentacle secretary guy that we saw from the original trilogy, is now ruling the Hutt Empire. Only he's a lot older, and he's apparently gained some weight for his position. As he's sitting on his throne, they hear gunshots, and you see Fennec running down the stairs, shooting down a bunch of the guards, and also saving one of the slave women. And we see after her Boba coming down the stairs slowly, and the guy, recognizing who Boba is, tries to talk to him, because I think he knew right off the bat he was going to die. Saying, "Hey, how long has it been? We thought you were dead." And he gets shot. Not just shot, but Boba then walks towards him, throws him off of the throne, puts down his gun, and proceeds to sit in his newly acquired throne, with Fennec sitting right next to the throne with, I'm assuming, a bottle of liquor or alien liquor, and the screen going to black with the text, "The Book of Boba Fett." Now, I got to say that that was actually really cool. Like, and as I think I mentioned already, they had already announced that there was going to be a season 3, and the fact that at this point, Mando's story is more than likely done, and will probably be following Boba Fett for the upcoming series. So I got to say, when it comes down to the series itself, I'm really excited for any future content. The next season should be December of 2021. So all in all, the series itself, especially with the past 2 seasons, has been really fun to watch. And I'm gonna, like I said, I mentioned, I'm gonna after this put the text "heavy spoilers" in the title. So all in all, this episode really fun. 45 minutes a lot longer than the usual episodes. And it was good from beginning to end. And I think that's all I have to say about that. Looking at the chat to see if there's anything else Damien wants to talk about, or at least any comments. Hold on a sec. All right. Okay. So I will, because we've been on for an hour. Jeez. Oh, man. So I gotta say, what it comes down to this, with everything, I think I've said what I need to say, or at least when it comes to the topics. This podcast itself has been, or at least this episode has been really fun. Especially with discussing the 3 things that's going on, or at least some drama. And I think I'm going to call it for this week, or at least for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one and take care. Peace.